No, we have a great relationship, and we'll continue to work towards it. And on that point, Jeff, it's clear to me from your testimony and listening to you testify that you've had some more macro visions of this industry and have some larger, bigger picture outlook on things. And from a New York perspective, I'm very interested in knowing if you've had any discussions with your colleagues or anyone in the industry as to what the reputation of New York is in regards to the development of this industry. And I think I know the answer to that question, so you don't feel like you have to sugarcoat it for me. And what would be your opinion as to the damage of that reputational impact in regards to positioning New York to be a potential player in this area in the future?
I think we all can change, and New York's took a position that we want to ensure that things are done right, and that's just like people were worried about hydraulic fracturing. Well, wells fractured back in the 40s were fractured with these. So when you look at that versus the composition, which is predominantly water and some sand today, and a lot of other things that, a guar gum, for instance. Well, that guar gum is the very same thing that if you chew gum, you're going to be having it in your mouth and in your body. So I think that in taking the approach of we've looked at this, we've studied it. Pennsylvania has had great success thus far. There's good stewards, and as Congressman Thompson alluded to earlier, very close to the line up there. So why not step across, kind of like when you go into the Great Lakes and you look at Canada and drilling. They drilled all of it up, but there's some imaginary line in the U.S. there that we think that the water is separate. It's not. Just as it's been done as a good steward here, I think New York could welcome these producers in, and I would imagine they would love to get there. We've got to ease their mind on the regulatory side.
And I appreciate. I mean, you're going to have a great future in politics someday. Yes. Because what I was looking for is it's clear to me in my conversations to the industry across the country and internationally too. The reputation of New York is, don't come here, we don't want you. And it's a fight that I fight as I travel around the country, because there's a lot of us up in Western New York in particular. We want it done safely, we want it done responsibly. That's the standard, and I know my colleagues in Pennsylvania and across the country all agree. Good environmental policies, good environmental practices is good business. We're not going back to one of our former colleagues, Mark Ricks, used to say the times of orange skies and orange water, where he comes from the coal part of Pennsylvania. We're just past that. That's not in our societal makeup anymore. Good environmental policy makes good business policy. And one of the things I'm concerned about is I talk to people in the industry, and it gives me a little optimism. You kind of touched on it a little bit there, Jeff, that you said if New York changes, you'd be willing to come. And what I'm really looking for is what would be a significant change in practice from New York that you would be able to tell your colleagues, you know what, maybe New York is on the right path, and we're willing to take that risk to go up there.
The right hand means a whole lot. So just again, I think in promoting that we're open for business, we want you. Some of that's got to start to overcome the negative that has been here thus far. So I believe until that gets started, and this coalition is probably a great thing to help get that kicked off.
I appreciate that, and I'm here to show my support. There are many of us in New York that are in the same position. We want to send that message to you as the industry, and as we travel around the country, we'll continue to deliver that. At some point in time, New York will be open, and we're going hold you accountable, just like these guys are holding you accountable in Pennsylvania and elsewhere across the country. But we're going to be partners, and that's the attitude I'm trying to promote. And along those lines, John, I worked with the Marcellus Shale Coalition quite a bit. What are the biggest threats to the development of the Marcellus Shale in particular? What are the biggest threats? Because one thing you touched upon New York City, one of the concerns that I'm starting to pick up on is as the issue of anti-development, the whole anti-fracking movement, the whole different items that are out there. One of the strategies I'm starting to see deployed as I talk to folks down on Wall Street and the private equity and the capital formation people is the whole concept of social investment and tying up these dollars and saying, look, we're on your pension boards, we're on your institutional investment structures, and we're going to restrict you from using that capital to invest in hydraulic fracturing and the development of this resource. One, are you picking up on any of that, being a representative of the largest shale formation in America? Is that a legitimate threat? Two, and what other threats do you see to the future development of this resource and this game-changing effect when it comes to our United States manufacturing base and also the geopolitical shift that Vince touched upon and that I'm very, very sensitive to?
Certainly aware of it. I've been in economic development for 15 years, and I was born in coal country, and so I've seen what that's done. I've never seen an industry garner more misinformation out there than any other industry, and I think that's the biggest threat. We always use the line that everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but no one's entitled to their own fact. And I think that's important. And with social media and with the internet, what we do is we fight on a daily basis with misinformation, whether it be contaminants of water that don't exist. And numerous studies will say that, but yet we'll do it again. One of the things that New York was opposed to was the massive amounts of water that were being used, and some of those figures again were overestimated in terms of what they were saying. We're proud to say that our members recycle their water. These are steps that the industry is taking, constantly moving ahead. A lot of our operators now use the same gas that they're pulling out to run their operations. Removing diesel from the pads, constantly getting cleaner and better. We certainly think, from an infrastructure standpoint, it's important to get the gas to market, to get people to use. But I think the biggest threat that we face as a society is that misinformation piece. Constantly going out and battling folks, so whether it's Hollywood or whether it's politicians, and just asking for the opportunity to have a fact-based dialogue. We might not always agree with what you hear, but let's put the cards on the table and let's be really clear about what we're talking about, and so that we don't create this sense of fear. And that's what I think New York is a lot of. It's a sense of fear. And you'll hear farmers from Pennsylvania tell you that let them tell you firsthand how great things are for them. And from a New York standpoint, some of the areas that have the most amount of gas are some very rural and some very poor areas, and they're dying to do business with that. Nowhere in this country should we stop a landowner from doing something with their land as long as it's done in an environmentally safe and legal way. And hopefully New York will change. Hopefully the Delaware River Basin Commission will see the errors of their ways too, and allow all of Pennsylvania to enjoy, or allow that part of Pennsylvania to enjoy what the others have.
Well, I appreciate that, and I'll just end one comment. I wholeheartedly agree. This has to be a fact-based conversation. This needs to be a data-driven process, and that's why we've been more than willing. And I've done the Route 6 corridor many, many times, going from Mansfield over to Towanda. Toured it. I was at an event, a town hall meeting up in Tompkins County, home of Cornell University, where obviously there's a philosophical position that is taken on this issue. And I was invited by one of the protesters in the group to go to her old family farm in Pennsylvania, northern Pennsylvania, because she was adamantly opposed to it, destroyed her family farm. It was amazing to me. I took her up on her invite. I said, I will come. I've done it before and I will do it again. And I went to that family farm, and I went into the living room. I met with the father who owned that farm, and he pulled me aside, and we sat at the kitchen table, and he said, Tom, I know my daughter's opposed to this, and I know we have a well pad on the farm, so the farm's farm's not exactly as it was before because they have the well pad there. But he said, you know what? I'm still farming. I'm also putting her daughter through college on the royalty check that is coming from this well on my farm. And that really resonated with me, ladies and gentlemen, because if you look at the war on poverty, as Lyndon Johnson started years ago, and the trillions of dollars that we spent on that war on poverty, here I have a man who is using his property that he owns, making sure it's being done responsibly and safely. And he's putting a next generation through college with no debt. We talk about empowering. We talk about lifting people out of poverty. That's what we're talking about. And that's why I say this is a game changer not only for generations, it's a game changer for America. It's a game changer for U.S. manufacturing, and it's a game changer for our national security implications long term. And I will continue to be a strong voice to stand with my colleagues to make sure we do this right, to hold people accountable. If anybody wants to play those games and they want to violate the rules, we'll be the first ones to join hands, take you out, and put you in jail where you belong. But if you do it right, you work with us, we're true partners, this is a resource that's going to change the landscape of America going forward. So I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you. Thank you to our host, Tom Marino, and the Penn College, and I appreciate the testimony from today.